And so, but what's insane, dude, is like we do that even as the church, whether we admit it or not, or just as Christians. Like, so if someone is homosexual, why is that the first thing that we go after? You know? Mm-hmm. So if somebody, like, each Sunday, like, seriously, I know if I say something about cohabitation, about a man and a woman living together, not married, and they're not just roommates, okay? Mm-hmm. If I speak against that, I look out, and we're, a good-sized church, but I look and I see people who I know that's doing it.
Yeah.
That may not be back, and I'm aware of that kind of thing. But is that the first thing you say to them when you meet them? Mm-mm. Oh, y'all are living together? Y'all are in sin. Or, oh, you watch porn? Or, yeah, I heard you were an adulterer. Or, I heard you lie. That's not what we come out. I'm Robbie.
This is Into the Fray. All right. So, are you a Stranger Things fan?
Man, I have only watched.
God, I hate how this is starting.
Maybe I don't even know if I watched one episode.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, maybe started a piece of it or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like my wife and I, you and I have talked kind of thing. Like, so when it comes to like Netflix shows or whatever, kind of binging stuff, like I will give it a couple of episodes. At first, when I first started kind of thing, it was like, if you didn't get me in the first episode, like I'm out. Like I got more things to be doing or watch something else kind of thing. Now I've learned that certain shows, you got to get, you got to kind of get in it a little bit, and get through the weirdness or whatever kind of stuff, the language, whatever kind of thing. But I don't know, maybe I just flipped on it one time or something. I don't think Carrie and I actually sat down. Because when we usually sit down, we kind of like, I don't know, as a couple, we're like, okay, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to watch this together, so you can't watch it without me kind of thing. Or, and it's usually me, I'm like, peace out, you can have it. You know what I mean? If it's one of those shows. And I don't think we've ever sat down. So maybe if we sat down and both of us,
I think y'all
we would give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that horror element to it.
Yeah. Oh, she would love that then.
Yeah. And there's the first season's kind of like a mystery of who killed this kid.
Okay. Is this one of those that's got like 10 seasons?
The fourth season just came out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not too bad then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'd like it. It's like a lot of like 80s nostalgia. So like the music. Yeah.
Dude,
I'm not saying that because of that.
Like,
I like it because of like it having the 80s nostalgia of, I love like Back to the Future and a lot of 80s movies, and so it has that feel to it. And yeah, maybe you'll feel at home watching
it. It's funny though, because you're right. There are, even like within the 80s, but for someone who was born in the 70s kind of thing, like the 80s now looking back is like the one era, like music wise. I'm like, nah.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. But my like upbringing, like graduating high school in 95, so the 90s and the grunge rock and stuff like that, that's what I was into kind of thing. So kind of going back to the 80s and stuff, it's like, I could, because I love like 60s, 70s music. Yeah. So the 80s is kind of that decade of like, I could take or leave most of it.
So is the Beach Boys 80s?
I don't. They would be earlier than that.
Okay.
I would think.
So this last season of Stranger Things, they have a soundtrack with it.
Okay.
And dude, I love this old music. It's amazing. I'm gonna list some of the songs.
Okay.
Separate Ways by Journey.
Okay.
California Dreamin' by the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah.
Psycho Killer by Talking Heads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pronounce this one, but if people listen to it, they'll immediately recognize it. Like Chica Magicanta.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, songs like that. And
cool.
This is an 80s song. Hounds of Love by Kate Bush. Or not, that's the album. Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush.
Okay.
There's this won't be a spoiler because this episode comes out in enough time for people to have watched Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But there's this scene where one of the characters, this girl, she's like lost her brother, and she's at his gravesite, like reading a letter to him about like I think about your death all the time because she witnessed it, and like, she's really sad. And then there's this really like the best scene I think I've ever seen in a show or a movie ever, and it has that song playing in the background.
Okay.
And I've watched the whole series, and that scene, I have it like imprinted on my brain, and that song just on repeat constantly. Like I can't get it out of my head.
Huh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Music does that though, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the element, obviously, of, I'm sure the scene is dramatic and whatever is transpiring, and it kind of captures your mind. But when you put the music element with it, I just think that's what, music just takes us back. I mean, it helps us remember, where we were, things we were going through, who we were with, all that kind of stuff. So even in like movies, it's funny how, songs like that outside of the movie, like I've found sometimes like it'll be a good jam, I guess. But when it's in the movie, it elevates.
Yeah.
Because they kind of enhance one another. And then so when you listen to the song outside of the movie, it's like, oh yeah, because it just kind of brings it full circle.
You got a favorite 80s movie?
Dude, I'd even have to look back to see what the 80s movies were. Like, I don't know.
I really like Ferris Bueller.
Me too. Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
Probably because like I would never do any of the stuff he did. Like
it's classic.
Yeah, my little brother, he just did like his senior prank and all, and like senior ditch day.
Oh yeah.
I was too like.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I was like, I gotta be at school. I can't break the routine.
Yeah.
I can't go and like trash the school. And so watching Ferris Bueller is like very inspiring. I'm like, maybe one day I'll get to that.
Yeah, and it's funny now. Like, so I mean, we're talking 40 years.
Oh wow.
For some.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at 1980 to now, kind of thing, or 82. So it's funny though, like the movies like that you see today that have not been updated, changed whatsoever. Because a lot of it just loses some less. I mean, it was Ghostbusters in the 80s, I guess, or
I think so.
So I mean, some stuff like that. It's like, man, that was. Back then, that was high tech, like, wow, cinematic. And now it's like, man, what is this? Like, my kids watch that, and they're like, come on, bro. Like, but like for Ferris Bueller, that's a classic. Like, yeah.
But those movies are all like so. I like watch. I think I've grown to like watching them way more because they're not like computer generated like animation and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you watch the new Star Wars movies. Yeah. And so much of it is green screen, and it doesn't it looks really cool and good, but you can tell it's not real.
Yeah.
But you go back and watch like the old Star Wars or like Back to the Future, they had to use like practical effects, and so even though looking back you're like that doesn't look super realistic, it doesn't look the best. You can tell it's like a real thing they made by hand. And you're like. It gives a different like feel to it. I've grown to like that way.
Yeah, and see, I hate when this happens, man. Like, so you said that, and I heard it not too long ago on the radio, but you're gonna have to look it up because I can't remember what it was. But apparently, so in Star Wars, the what you call it, lightsaber. Yeah, the noise, like that was never planned. It was apparently like as they're, I guess, making the movie, they had something else planned, and this is like something that was done in the background, and I forget what the object was, but they heard it and then implemented it into, which is now obviously, that sound is like everybody knows what it is. But yeah, I think a lot of those movies, because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is like this, they're making stuff up because they didn't just have the technology back then for a lot of the stuff we do today.
I think that might be why like this new Top Gun movie is so popular too.
Yeah.
Of them not using a green screen to shoot it. Of them Tom Cruise and them actually getting real planes and becoming pilots.
Have you seen it yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I want to.
Oh yeah, me too. Because that for me, that's one of my classics. Like, I love that one, man. And what I do not like, a pet peeve of mine. Okay. So the whole LeBron James, Michael Jordan debate, which I will forever say is MJ. Like, it drives me insane when they come back. Like, so Space Jam then, and now LeBron does Space Jam 2. It's like, come up with something different, you know? But so when I heard at first, okay, they're doing this sequel sort of thing with Top Gun. I'm like, no, dude, don't do that. Don't ruin it. You know what I mean? Because once it's just hard to do sequels and go on down the road. I mean, a lot of times in Fast and Furious, well, they got like 20 something of them. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like after a while, they're just not as good as the originals.
Yeah.
And so I was really glad because a lot of my friends that I've seen, especially on social media, have just said that the Top Gun movie is excellent. So
I heard some people say it's better than the first.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I heard
Which
that.
is like, that's a huge. It's already a challenge to be as good as the first.
Yeah.
But for them to have like exceeded it, that's.
Yeah. And see, I would be interested if I'm assuming that's older folks like myself that actually saw it back then versus somebody today that would see the old one and be like, you know.
Yeah. Man.
Interesting.
We're
going to check out Stranger Things, though, man. My curiosity's been piqued.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen and I'll sit down and we'll binge that sometime.
Yeah, I finally get Daniel into it. Or I didn't get Daniel into it. I've tried to get Daniel into it before.
Yeah.
He's just like, no. Episode 1, it's very hard for him to like sit down and watch a show. And but then I don't know if he just heard all the hype about this new season.
Yeah.
He got into it.
Okay.
And he's binging it right now.
See, that's the weird thing too. I don't want to say weird thing. It's a cool thing for us. Like my wife and I, that's what we do. Like I don't ever watch. Like I wouldn't binge a show by myself. Now she will.
Yeah.
Like so if I peace out on one, she's like I'm finishing. She's got that whole like I'm gonna finish. Like we will Netflix whatever. Like we will start a movie and it is. I mean, at first you think it's like top 10 worst. And then it's the worst movie you've ever seen. And so I'm 30 minutes out. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, this is horrendous. And you come back in there an hour and a half later, and she's finishing it up because she's going to finish it up. Like, she has that mentality. And it's not I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
She just starts it. She's going to finish it.
Huh.
So she'll sit there and binge whatever the show is. There's only been a handful, I think, that we've started that was such trash that she's like, nah, that's something else kind of thing. But she'll watch it on. But the point is, like, us sitting together and watching it, when we talk about it, we kind of joke around throughout the day about it and stuff like that. So it's just kind of this thing that you do, or we do anyway, as a married couple. So,
do you have a show, like, as a family, y'all have, like, gotten together and watched together?
As a whole family? Oh, man, no, it's been years since we've done that. Yeah, I don't know. Because Bryce, obviously, he's going to take over the TV. You can't put up like Netflix or anything with Bryce because the minute he sees like whatever cartoon or whatever it is, like he's going to watch it. Like you know, now Bryce loves the movies. You take him to the movies. We took him to watch the latest Batman. Oh, he's cool. Yeah, the big screen, he's fascinated by sound. He's jumping up. I mean, we don't care now. Like, so we go in there and we try not to go like when it's jam-packed or whatever because he's going to make noise. Like, he's going to stand up. He's going to clap. He's going, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun for us. It's really fun for him. Probably not so much for others. But, and then Cole now will. Griffin's not around as much as far as college and stuff. Yeah. So it's been years since we've actually sat down. I don't think we've done a show. Movies, we do family like movie night, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. You got like a go-to family movie?
No, I mean the Marvels, because Cole's really into that stuff, and so which I love it too, kind of thing. Yeah. So we watched the minute those come out, we usually go watch them.
Nice. Mm-hmm. We I think the go-to show for probably the last few years was Last Man Standing.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, that's a weird one. Growing up, Dad would always have Home Improvement on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You didn't like it? Oh, that's old man classic.
Yeah, I was like, I want to watch a show about a guy with tools.
Yeah.
And now that's my life. But then to fast forward and we're watching his new show, and I don't know. I think it like kind of fit our family really well. Like we have like different politics and stuff, and the show deals around that a lot of.
That's funny.
Conservative dad and kids who are kind of like wondering and
I guess to your point, one of the shows like I don't really care what people think. I was making fun of myself last night on shows and just reference like I do with you, because it's this whole mentality of preachers, you know, unless it's the Bible, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be watching or listening kind of stuff. But I guess, Carrie, one of the shows that we like together is The Big Bang Theory, which is an old one.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you know, because it's funny, you know, the whole,
that is hilarious.
The evolution, Big Bang, all that kind of stuff, you know, like it's just funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's just funny stuff. So yeah. And two, it's like one of those, like when we're done with the day and kids and we've had our time together with the Lord, all those kind of things, you know, it's kind of like the last 30 minutes, 45 hours, whatever it is kind of thing before we go to sleep kind of thing. That's usually one of the shows that's on like TBS and stuff like that. So that's the one we watch a lot of times.
I started watching Big Bang Theory maybe a year ago.
Okay.
I love that show.
Yeah. And it's another one of those, I guess it's been off the air for a few years or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, it's just classic. I mean, because we watch and it's like, oh, we've seen this one, we still sit there and watch it, you know, just kind of laugh. Yeah.
That's another one. I was told not to watch it growing up because obviously the Big Bang.
Yeah.
But then watching it, I was like, you guys don't ever talk about like the Big Bang in the show for it to be called this.
Yeah.
Like it is very rare, I feel like, when they actually get into like the weeds and stuff.
Yeah.
And even then, I think it's cool that like Sheldon, his mom is like a very conservative Christian.
Yeah.
And like he still prays and
yeah. And obviously, I mean, they're making fun of stuff, and I get all that. But again, like I can disassociate, man. Like it's a comedy show. Like I'm not offended, you know, by it, you know, kind of thing. It's just it's funny.
I was actually like really happy with how the show like dealt with religion and science, because it was that some of the people on there had like a couple of them were like Jewish, and they still practiced their Jewish, or like was it Raj, Hindu, or and he still went to the temple and all, and I was like, that definitely breaks any molds we have in our minds about how science and faith mix. Mm-hmm. It's cool that like a really one of the most popular shows in history is discussing that. And
yeah. I think it's kind of cool too, like, because I know where we're going in our topic in just a minute, how like when you look at it, like I guess the main friends or whatever, like you said with Raj and Sheldon, and you look at the different characters, one is obviously brought up Jewish, you know, so you have these different religions, and yet they're extremely good friends. And you know that they talk about it. I mean, it's a comedy show, so they'll kind of bash on each other or whatever every now and then about stuff like that, make fun of themselves, make fun of each other kind of stuff, but they're friends nonetheless, even though they differ on stuff. And I just think we can learn from that kind of stuff, man, that we can differ, whether it's religion, politics, science, whatever kind of thing, and actually care for each other.
Yeah Man, great transition. They me and Robbie have had this topic on the schedule for a while, of specifically the struggle of the church and how do we deal with the LGBTQ movement, and not even necessarily the movement, but maybe just the people in that movement. Of we're in this a lot of Christians would feel like we're in a really challenging time of like, what do I do when my friend comes out as gay? How do I deal with that? Can I even be friends with them still? And even like, how do we as Christians remain faithful to the orthodoxy, or like how the church is kind of always believed on these topics, but do so in like a graceful manner, and to love people like Jesus did, but still believe what Jesus believed, you know? And we'll just dive in.
Yeah, well, and I think to that, Austin, like, so the church, and by the way, this discussion, if you're just waiting on us to just quote a ton of scripture against, or if you're thinking the other way for, like, you're not going to get this one. Like, so I preach, teach, all that kind of stuff. We've done Not Quite Table Talk and discussed this at length. The reason I personally wanted to do it is to be able to, if we have some listeners who are struggling, or they've come out or they have family members who are friends, like just to let them know, like, because there's so much fear, like on both sides, right? So if you're a heterosexual, like this topic will just kind of like you can't relate to. You haven't personally dealt with it. You don't have somebody really close to you that's ever dealt with it. There's kind of the fear, like I don't know really how to handle it. I'm not sure, kind of what they're going through. I don't know how to respond. And then on the other side, there's a lot of fear because there's a lot of perception on both sides, assumptions.
Yep.
Like, somehow Christians are just looking your nose down at someone who would differ sexuality from what we would believe, kind of thing. Or, man, if I were to tell someone who I know is a believer, not only is there's that fear of judgment, like they're going to judge me. And not only are they going to judge me, they're not going to want anything to do with me. They're probably going to trash me, tell me, I'm just going to hell. Dude, I remember years ago driving down the interstate, and I saw a billboard, and it quoted in Leviticus. I
love billboards.
Yeah, me too. But this one just had, homosexuality is an abomination before the Lord. And that was it. And I remember, Austin, so it was on my right side. And I remember as I passed it, I looked back because I was really hoping in that moment there was going to be something on the other side. Like some type of hope, some type of grace, some type of and there wasn't. It was another billboard. And I just feel like as believers, that's what we do a lot of times. That's what we say. Or for our lack of what we're saying, that's what's assumed by those that be in that community is it's just judgment. That's all it is. There's no grace. There's no love. And as a church, and I mean this as just the church in general, I think we've done a poor job in general, not all, but as a kind of umbrella as the church, poor job not only having conversations, like legit conversations with people that differ from us. And I think we've done even a worse job loving them, caring for them, serving them. Yeah. So that's why I want to do it.
I'll say this too. I would say I'm guilty of having handled this situation wrong in times past. Okay. Of having conversations with, of there just being a lot of ignorance. And the idea of, I remember very early on as a Christian, this is why I think Facebook is terrible if you're a new Christian. You're so hyped up and you're not really thinking about what you're posting. You think you're doing it like God's work, and then you post something and it's like super, you just can't get tone across.
Yeah.
And so like as a 14-year-old Christian, super hyped up on Jesus, I posted it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm clever.
Yeah.
Definitely stole that from somebody else. And then having someone in my life who went to school with me too comment and say, this is why I can't stand you Christians, because you guys are so like mean and rude and such jerks. And like she went on to talk about how like her grandmother came out as lesbian and how she loved her grandmother. Her grandmother was the best person she knew. And at the time I came back and I was like, well, this is what the Bible says, so deal with it. Like being really just mean and harsh. Yeah. I think I messaged later privately and like apologized. But I remember going to the school the next day and all the kids in the class talking about that post, and they're like, ooh, you really went in. And I was like, I remember feeling shame even in that moment, because I'm like, I feel like I handled something wrong. I don't even know what I did wrong. Yeah. I knew even at that time of like on the inside, I knew that I had communicated a truth maybe, but I did it the wrong way. Yeah. And there have been many times over the years where I had struggled with communicating truth, but communicating it the wrong way. Yeah. And sometimes it's not even necessarily like that we communicate truth the wrong way. We do it on our timing of God's got a timeline of how we can have these conversations with people. But sometimes we are so eager and we think we're going to miss the moment that we force it at times when God's just like, no, you need to listen at this moment.
Yeah.
And but like something you said, it reminded me of a quote by David Bennett said for him he's someone who has same-sex attraction. He said to love Jesus would be like the ultimate betrayal of himself. And like he becomes he's got a book called The War of Loves, and he talks about like that battle of he has loves for other men, but then he fell in love with Jesus, and it comes in like this conflict with him. But how he wrote his like memoir basically, and what I loved about it so much was it really made me like step into the shoes of someone who's different than me and feel how tough that struggle would be. All Christians have to deny themselves.
Sure.
And sometimes I think in this conversation we forget, as maybe like you're the heterosexual Christian, you feel like this conversation has nothing to do with me. It's like, no, you need to, this is an opportunity for you to step in to someone else's shoes and feel what they feel. Of dying to yourself is a really hard thing to do. And following Jesus, it comes with a really tough cost, and especially for someone in the LGBTQ community, even if they deny themselves, and they say, like for David's case, he is a celibate gay Christian, he's practically living out what Christians historically would believe of, like he's just not going to pursue a gay relationship. But then it's still a very isolating experience, because even him calling himself gay and acknowledging those same-sex attraction kind of isolates himself even in the church, because people are like, well, don't call yourself gay. Like cut that out. And so even then he's like, well, I kind of want you got to know like where I'm coming from. You know?
Sure.
And so like there's isolation already, and then even more isolation, and it's just there's so much pain and struggle for like in his case of trying to follow Jesus, but then feeling so isolated and alone trying to do it.
Man, you said something too, just kind of sparked something deep in my soul, dude. There are people that are maybe they've already cut off the podcast, maybe they're about to, kind of thing, because they think, oh, here's another topic, and I don't deal with it. I'm probably never going to meet someone who is dealing with it or will deal with it, and so what's the point? And man, all sin is perverted, and all sin is weird. Like, so mine as well. Like, so whatever it is that you're dealing with, like, I don't care what it is, whether it's lust or gossip or lying or whatever it is, kind of thing. But it's so crazy how we, like you said that earlier about the timing, the not only the way that you do it. So Jesus, full of grace and truth, and that should be us. That should be how we treat people, how we speak to people, how we have conversations. It should be, we don't steer away from truth, but we do it with grace. So timing is a huge thing. How you present it, that. Just how you tell people something. Because like I said, on social media, there's no context. There's no, but you can't read body language, and you can't really ask, or people don't ask follow-up questions, because, it's just like attack mode. And so, but what's insane, dude, is like, we do that even as the church, whether we admit it or not, or just as Christians. Like, so if someone is homosexual, why is that the first thing that we go after? So if somebody, like, each Sunday, like, seriously, I know if I say something about cohabitation, about a man and a woman living together, not married, and they're not just roommates, okay? If I speak against that, I look out, and we're, a good-sized church, but I look and I see people who I know that's doing. That may not be back, and I'm aware of that kind of thing. But is that the first thing you say to them when you meet them? Oh, y'all are living together? Y'all are in sin. Or, oh, you watch porn? Or, yeah, I heard you were an adulterer. Or I heard you lie. Like, that's not what we come out with. We don't come out, a person in general with another sin, but it seems like when it comes to that, the community, especially homosexuality, like, we're full force. Like, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Like, and somehow I think we perverted the gospel, that we're gonna, our whole purpose in sharing the gospel is to fix them.
Yep.
Make them straight. And that is a sad thing, dude. It's been a few years ago, but I was pretty new young pastor, and I had a young lady call me, and I didn't know her well, but she said, Pastor, I got a question for you, and I could hear it in her voice. I mean, she'd been crying and stuff like that, and I said, yeah, absolutely, anything. And she said, I'm having, I've just come out, I'm a lesbian, and she said, am I going to hell? And I thought, because I'm a pretty young believer, new pastor, and I'm like, man, one is it's over the phone, and it's a young lady, so there was a lot of dynamics that kind of caught me off guard. And I remember telling her, I was like, listen, I know this to be true. You don't go to heaven because you're a heterosexual, and you're not going to hell because you're a homosexual. Like, both of those are true. Like, you're not getting into heaven because you're straight.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the gospel. You know what I mean? Like, and the same goes the other way. But that was her whole, and again, that kind of gets back to the other. She's kind of like, in her mind, and man, the fact that she would call me, man, I didn't take that for granted. Because I know that's what she was thinking. And she was probably expecting me to say, drop the hammer, right? Yeah, you're going to hell kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that she would call me, and then just by the grace of God that I, was able to talk to her even more after that. But yeah, because I think within all of us, we want to be God. I mean, we want to be judge, jury, and executioner kind of thing when it comes to sin or whatever kind of things that we disagree with. But with her, man, in that moment, by the grace of God, I was able to speak truth to her, but it was grace.
Yeah, coming out is something that's so important to people in that community because, like, I mean, there's so much shame and, like, stigma around being gay or lesbian or transgender or whatever that for a lot of people, like, that's, like I said, is very isolating for David. But especially calling a pastor or talking to another Christian and coming out, that can almost feel like life or death. You love this person and you don't know if they're going to love you back after you tell them this about who you really are. Like the moment where I kind of had to really, or I felt really challenged by this was, I have a really good friend, and me and him, we've been on mountaintops together, and we've been like the valley of death together, like beating each other up. But we've had this really long friendship together, and there was a season where he was asking a lot of questions. And he always asks a lot of questions, but he was asking a lot of very specific questions about faith and about homosexuality and about what the Bible says about sexuality and gender and all this stuff. And it was becoming more and more clear of like, man, I feel like there's something really personal about these questions. Like, these aren't just, I'm studying this stuff in school. It feels like there's a weight to them. And I remember going through those conversations with him and being like, I really need to be like on guard about how I'm like handling this, because I know I've handled this situation bad in the past, and I handled it bad in front of him. Like, he has seen me at my worst. Like, there's no hiding it. And it was tough because at a certain point he finally came out to me, and after he came out to me, he told me, he was like, you were one of the last people I wanted to tell. He wanted to tell me because we're so close and we have such a good relationship, but he was so scared because he's like, I know what you believe. And he was just, he had other Christians in his life who I'm not sure he ever came out to because of the hate they actually do have. And I remember sitting in that moment when he did come out to me, and it felt like there was two roads. I think I told you this before. Like, it felt like there was two roads, and it was like, all right, do you share the gospel, as in beat him over the head with the Bible and tell him like you're a sinner and all this stuff, or do you shut your mouth and you just tell him you love him?
Yeah.
And in that moment, it was like, there's a way Jesus would handle this, and it's not beating him over the head with the Bible, especially since we've had those conversations before. Like, he knows what the Bible says. He knows like what Christians believe. Right now, he's not looking for that. He's looking to know that someone he's been doing life with for like 10 years by that point isn't going to reject him because of a difference.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him I love him, and afterwards being like, man, this is a place I didn't understand how important coming out was for someone in the LGBTQ community. I didn't learn that from Christians. I didn't know how to handle the situation from Christians. It was one of those like eye-opening moments of like, man, I think the church did do a huge disservice of there's so much of like the culture war battle going on with that conversation that for me, I had to learn how important it was for someone to come out from a Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why, to be specific. They had some gay characters come out on that show, and like a good show does is it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
And I remember watching these gay characters come out and me being like, man, that is rough. Like the isolation they feel. Like in high school, I had a lot of gay friends, but I never, like, I was in high school. I wasn't putting myself in their shoes. I wasn't trying to understand what they're feeling in that way. And that show opened my eyes to it. And so I think that's what helped me know what to do when it came to my buddy coming out. But then afterwards, it was like, man, I need to find some resources from the church of like, how do you, as a Christian, how do I love my friend well with this specific topic? How do we have conversations in the future about this? How do I because I'm sure you have too, of like, you get pushback if you're a Christian who has a gay friend.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, life is, man, we learn from our mistakes. I mean, you had where you blew it.
Yeah.
But you learn from it, and I'm sure you did rectify and, reach out to that person was going through that and how you handled that. But you were 14, for goodness sake. And, just we learn from it kind of thing. I've learned a ton there's a lot, like Rosario Butterfield, there's several who, when you read and listen to their testimony and you hear the fears. Yeah. When you hear just the loneliness and what they were longing for as they were going through this, and a lot of times how Christians mishandled it. Man, it opens your eyes a lot to it. Because again, I don't have a family member, that's homosexual or transgender or anything like that. So when you haven't experienced it, I mean, again, a lot of that fear is just a lack of knowledge. You just don't know. So when you listen to someone who has been through it, man, you can just glean so much from their experience because you feel their hurt. Yeah. You hear the stories and it's like, man, okay, I want to learn from that. Yeah. And I want to take that forward. I want to be there for you, and if that's somebody kind of thing. But I want to take that forward because, dude, here's the thing. Like, I saw it the other day, and I can't remember. I didn't write it down. But it was a few years ago, just talking about how many within our local churches that them personally or someone within their, kind of their sphere, their family, extended family kind of thing, would be in that community kind of thing. So this whole idea, like there's, there's the 1%er or what, man, that's, no. See, and two, the other thing is, I guarantee if you've got kids, I've got, my youngest is just graduated, freshman from high school, sophomore next year. Dude, it's in middle school and earlier where these discussions are being had. And not only on whether it's a Netflix or YouTube or they're just talking about it or somebody there's dealing with it already at that age. man, they're it's in front of them and they're hearing it. And the question is, where are they learning, truth about identity and how to handle this with truth? I mean, those sort of things. Is it coming from you as a parent, or is it coming from somewhere else? And so, man, as far as having friends, like one of the great things, like, so my wife has, for the last couple of years, she met through work, a lesbian couple, and they're older than us. So I'll just be very transparent about this. When she even told me, like, she was hanging out. I mean, like, I had no, like, worry, like, oh, they're going to change her. Or, you know what I mean? Like, something like that. Like, there was no fear, no dumb stuff like that. But when, it was a work party or whatever it was where, obviously I would be there too. Like, I'm thinking, well, they know I'm a preacher. They know what I believe. Yeah. Man, they just going to, like, because, I mean, I want to engage, not for the sake of, changing or having a conversation specifically about it, but just to engage them because they're my wife's friend. Like, I want to get to know them kind of thing. Are they going to be like, treat me like the plague kind of thing because they're so worried that I'm going to be judgy kind of thing? And it was the complete opposite. Yep. And they are the nicest people. We have actually been on cruises that they have been on as well. They're awesome. And what's really cool, and you said this about your friend Daniel, Austin, saying about your brother Daniel, that we have had conversations and they are the ones who brought it up.
Yep.
Like, I intentionally, like, I don't, quote scripture, preach to them, drop a little devotional poolside, like all that kind of stuff. But they'll ask me.
Yeah.
But what I learned through that relationship is once the rapport was being built and kind of established, and they saw that I cared for them, like, and they don't come to the church, they're not, that kind of thing. In fact, if you were to ask them, they are believers. Okay, so they know very well the scriptures. They know that what I would believe about their relationship, like all those kind of things. And yet they know that I care for them so much. Like, they will ask me, and some of it, and much more my wife, just because there's a different bond there, her being a lady kind of thing. But they'll have some deep conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And it never heated. You know what I mean? Like, never argumentative kind of stuff. There's a lot of general concern, like, for scripture, but they'll tell us, stories and stuff. And I glean from that, and I learn how hard it is. And we've met some of their friends who are also lesbian or gay. And I mean, we've had people not only, kind of in church life, but in the community, transgender, all kind of things that I just, from my growing up had never experienced. And so you don't know. And so there's fear. And I mean, I'm going to write a book one day, Comfortably Uncomfortable, because that's life.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, talking with someone with sexuality that's different and stuff, it's just like this, it's uncomfortable sometimes. But man, they're people.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I have a friend who is one of my newer friends, but they're transgender.
Yep. And
I got dinner with them one night, and we knew of each other for the longest time, but we had just never really like crossed paths to like really connect. And so I asked them to dinner, and they were like, "Why?"
Yeah. You definitely have an agenda.
Yeah.
A hidden agenda. Yeah.
Well, even like, we both laughed at this. They told their girlfriend of like, this weirdo like from high school is wanting to like get together. Like, what does he want to talk about? What is there? There's nothing to talk about. And but then we get together, and like one of the best conversations I've ever had with somebody, of hearing their story. And that was the thing that I didn't ask them any questions about their transition. I asked them every other question about just who they are as a person. What are you like? It turned out we had the same type of we like some of the same type of music, and we had similar friend dynamics, and there's similar like relationship histories, and there's just so much beautiful, like, just one of the things I love just hearing people's stories, and this person's story was so beautiful to me and amazing. And I as they were talking, I could feel some of the pain they had and some of their highlights in life. And I remember then right after that having a talk with some Christians and telling them like, yeah, I got dinner with this person,
mm-hmm.
and boy, I got lit up. Like they would. This person genuinely got furious. Mm-hmm. They're like, how dare you have dinner with someone like that? Yep. And then me pushing back and saying, did you get dinner with them? Mm-hmm. I think if you met them and you heard their story, you'd have a different response. Because after hearing their story, my heart broke for them. Yeah. Not just because of theological views or whatever, but like my heart broke for them because I knew what they had been through then. I knew their story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, no, this is a human being, and we shouldn't treat another human being with such like rigid like hate, you know, especially as a Christian. In my mind, I was like, this should be very normal. Like, it should be very normal for us to be having conversations and dinners with people who we disagree with on things, and to still see them as human at the end of the day. Yeah. And to, like my case with this person, of continuing a friendship with them. Yeah. Because, man, like they genuinely were an amazing person. Yeah.
Well, and I think, again, it gets back to that, like, so again, I'm not trying to jump into their mind or their heart, the ones who spoke this to you about you going to dinner with them, but it's like this, like, we can't build relationships, love, serve others who differ, all right, so like the LGBTQ community, because if we're doing that, we're affirming their practices or whatever kind of thing. Like, so if you differ, I mean, dude, how stupid is that though? Yeah. Like, so, I mean, there's people within our church, there's people that I love dearly, political views, I mean, injustices. I mean, there's all kind of stuff that if we see it, we differ on. Yeah. And I love them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why is this so different? And I understand it's different. I understand it's, you know, I get that. But again, get over yourself. Like, they're image bearers. And here's my thing. So when Jesus asked about the greatest commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. You don't get to put parameters on who that is. Yeah. That's everybody. You know? And again, that whole just, I don't know if it's the fear. I mean, you and I were talking even before the podcast, not about this topic, but just, you know, we treat it as believers, I think as a church sometimes, kind of like leprosy of the Bible. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I don't want to get near because I might catch it. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's so wrong. It's like, so Jesus, teaches, preaches the Sermon on the Mount. The first thing he does is touches a leper who hasn't been touched in years, longed for that. And he could have performed that miracle any kind of way he wanted to. Spoke it, thought it, snapped his fingers, whatever. But he touched him. He met a need right then. And I just, instead of pulling away or avoiding, and dude, here's the thing too. A lot of the stuff that you and I just talked about is very repetitive on other topics. Yeah. And it should be. Right? Like, if we're talking about injustice or racism or I don't care what the topic is, when you start seeing people as a means to an end, an object, a project to be fixed, all that, it doesn't matter what topic it is, you're kind of, we're going to talk about the same kind of stuff. Yeah. They're image bearers, made in the image of God, for whom Christ died, regardless of sexual orientation or anything else. Yeah. And dude, one last thing. Yeah, go. Just think about this. Okay, so we love helping people, right? Yeah. Serving. So if we drove by a house here in our community and the grass was really high and the yard was just a wreck, and we saw, man, the roof, it looked like there was some issues, and come to find out there's an elderly widow lady that's there, and so we meet her and talk to her, and we talk about helping her and stuff like that. And then suppose we start to say, we're going to get a little team together, man. We're just going to go love on this lady. But right before we go, somebody tells us, by the way, she's lesbian or transgender or whatever it is. Do you not go? do you not serve? Do you not love her? Because I mean, it's just like, but somehow that's the mentality. It's like, this is the, for whatever reason, off limits. Like we can't engage, love, and serve them. And I can't put my finger if it's just fear or what it is.
It's sad because what you just described sounds like a legit situation really happened. Of like, I'm sure for a fact that exact situation has happened of churches trying to go help somebody and then get pushed back and being told that this person lives a lifestyle that you don't agree with.
Oh yeah.
And then the church being like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. Like I remember in high school dealing with that. I had this Bible study I did, and the people who came to this Bible study were a mess, just like me. Mm-hmm. And I would have people constantly come up to me and say, you know, such and such in your Bible study, mm-hmm. they do this on the weekends. Mm-hmm. You don't need to keep pouring into them. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think you know Jesus. Like, like Jesus, I tried really hard in high school, and like I said, I failed in many areas, but I tried to put myself where Jesus would. Of like the whole message of the podcast is we want to live lives like Jesus did, of stepping into very tense, uncomfortable situations mm-hmm. and having relationships with people who are different than us. Yep. Because we believe it doesn't have to be as scary as the culture makes it seem. And one of the passages that came to my mind was John 8, verse 1 through 11. You hear the story about Jesus and these religious leads, and they catch this woman in the act of adultery, mm-hmm. and they use her as an object, which is like mm-hmm. terrible. Of like they don't even see her as a human being. They could care less whether she gets stoned to death or not. Yeah. They're just using her to trap Jesus. Yep. Not only that, but then I think Charlie Dates pointed this out of, why are you catching her in the act of adultery?
She's in the very act.
Yeah. Why were you over there?
Exactly.
Like, how long have you been watching her?
There's a lot behind the scenes. It's like, and she's probably, is she dressed, half dressed? And I mean, they're treating her like an object. Yeah. And then, which is what was probably taking place anyway. Yeah. Being treated like an object. Yeah. But
then how powerful it is that like they use her to trap Jesus, and they're going to use her and her sin. Mm-hmm. And then Jesus turns the tables on. He turns it back around. He's like, yeah, well, what about your sin? Like, mm-hmm. you want to call out this one person's sin. Yes. But we're not going to address yours. Yeah. And that's mm-hmm. so much of like part of this conversation is, it does, this conversation is like, I mean, talked about it before, I do get protective over it because I'm like, I don't want to just go and bash the LGBTQ community mm-hmm. of, there's enough of that going on. Mm-hmm. It drives me crazy anytime I see this on Facebook. Of you have quotes from pastors where they're like, they're just condemning mm-hmm. gay people or whatever, and I'll see the people posting it, and my immediate thought is always the same of like, I know you. You don't have one gay friend in your life. Yes. You're not being brave right now because no one on your Facebook feed is gay because you don't hang out with people who are gay. Nobody else wants to see it. Yeah. But you act like you're doing this amazing act. Yeah. I'm like, what's actually brave for the Christian is to do what we've talked about, what we actually live out of. You step into the fray and you have built genuine relationships, loving relationships over time with people who are different than you, mm-hmm. especially gay, transgender, lesbian, whatever, and you love them the way Jesus did. Mm-hmm. Of you bear in their pain with them, you suffer with them over years, and you actually listen to them. Yeah. And that's like, I think the listening to them part is like a huge thing that's missing too. Is like, as Christians, sometimes I'm trying to still like figure out where this came from. But I remember that feeling of being a new Christian and feeling like you have to, you get told in youth group, be aware, like keep your eyes open for the opportunity to share the gospel. Yeah. You might miss it. If you miss it, you're in trouble. Yeah. And so you're like constantly anxious and you're worked mm-hmm. up and you're like, I gotta be looking everywhere. But a lot of times the opportunities are there and you can miss it. Mm-hmm. But the opportunities don't look the way we think they do. Yeah. Of a lot of times, I remember I would think that the opportunity meant, well, I will get this like opportunity to stand in front of the classroom and preach the Bible, and it was never like that. It was always these very silent conversations with people, where I spent most of the time just listening to their heart and like working with them through like a tough situation they're in, where you're being, like we've talked about before, God being slow to speak and quick to listen, of where you're just practicing that, of like that's the opportunity. And I think we both experienced that of like with our gay friends, of a lot of that is the opportunity we have, is you just listening to them, them asking questions, them starting the conversation, but you listening to them and even asking them questions back of being like,
oh yeah,
I'm still asking questions like that I don't understand about sexuality, and even if me and my friend disagrees about the answer, I'm still trying to understand like their world, because I want to be able to. What is that, contextualization? Of like you actually knowing how the gospel impacts the world you're preaching to.
Yeah. And the other thing to that, man, no, that's great. Listening well, I mean, that's something we all, or most people, I struggle with. Just in general, listening well and asking those questions. And the Proverbs 12:5, I love it, says, the purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. That's a heart. Like there's so much depth to it, but you got to be willing to stick it out. To you know what I mean? It takes time. It takes asking those tough questions.
Patience.
Sometimes it's just listening, being there, present kind of thing. There's all that kind of stuff. And you were saying that about sharing the gospel. But I think that's like a project to be fixed. Is kind of how we go in that mentality. It's like, oh well, if I have a friend who's gay or transgender, well, if I can just get that door of opportunity to share Jesus, then all will be well. You know what I mean? And so I'm so amped up, like that, letting he or she crack the door for me to share the gospel. And we don't listen well, because that's all we're doing is we think just, and again, I'm a huge, like, yes, I hope you get a chance to share the gospel with them. Like, share the gospel. But be the gospel too.
Yep.
Okay? So be there, because again, man, who are they able to share their hurts with? More than likely, it's someone within the community. Like that's, again, because the belonging and being accepted and the things that we all long for, that's the only place, like, again, that kind of perception, and that ain't just perception, it's reality a lot of times with the church. It's just the complete opposite. We're not there to listen. We're not there to love and to care, because it's almost foreign to us kind of thing. I mean, if you're like, it's like, okay, I should love them, but can I love them from a distance kind of, no. Actually, and again, you can love them and be their friend, and you can even disagree. Yeah. It's okay.
Like, you can have uncomfortable moments.
For sure.
There have for sure been times, and my friend would tell you this.
Yeah.
Of Austin doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like,
I'm trying.
He knows that.
But he sees and knows that. You're trying. You're there when 99.9% of other believers are not.
Yeah. And making sure that like and maybe we've already hit on this, every conversation with that person doesn't have to be around this topic.
No. Talk about shows and stuff that you and I joke around about. Like,
one of the things that I started doing, and I don't do it as much now, just because timing and all this, it really takes effort. But having game nights.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of the friends I had in high school came from homes that weren't maybe the best.
Yeah. And
one of the ideas I had was like, yo, what if I had a game night where people could come over to my house? I have a pretty nice home. I mean, my family's a mess like everyone else's, but
sure,
we can put up with each other for an hour and then be welcomed into our home, treated like family, and then we just laugh and have a good time together.
Yeah.
And not only is that like a blessing to those other people that I would have over, but then it'd be a blessing to me and my family, because like, we're laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
But it also builds that relationship with that person of like, they get to see a side of you that a lot of people think Christians don't have. They think like Christians are like the Ned Flanders. Of you don't have a sense of humor. You wear a suit all the time. But then you intentionally invite them over into a situation where you have to let loose.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ends up happening is they see the real you.
Yeah.
And then they feel more comfortable opening up.
Yep.
Because they heard you cracking the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
They seen you laugh. They seen you fall out of your chair. You know? All very real situations.
Yes. Yeah. You're normal. You can actually talk. And again, I'm a Bible loving Jesus freak. Yep. I like for sure. But man, I don't feel like every conversation I have with anybody has to always be, okay, let me quote scripture or let's talk about this new, Fireproof movie or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Pure Flicks. It's like, dude, like, I love sports, I love hunting, there's a lot of stuff that I love. And hey, I'm pretty sure there's other stuff that you love too that maybe not even has to, be surrounded by or about sexuality. Like we could actually talk about other stuff because you're, somebody I want to get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let me just say this too, man. There's the both ways again. I would think that the LGBTQ community would feel like mostly that Christians would see or try whatever kind of thing that they're beneath them kind of thing. Like there's this higher, like holier than thou kind of mentality, and so. And maybe as believers, a lot of people do kind of take that like, well, I don't struggle with that particular sin, whatever that sin is. I'm not just talking about that community. I'm talking about whatever it is, kind of thing. And so it's like addiction or anything else. It's like, I can't relate. And so mine's not, my sin's not as bad as theirs. I would just, so I mentioned at the very beginning that Leviticus text about homosexuality is an abomination for the Lord. Just Google or go to a Bible app and just put in abomination.
Yeah.
All right, so guess what? There is a laundry list of abominations to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Ton of them. And if you get to the New Testament, you see this list where homosexuality is included in Paul's writings. It's not a standalone. It's a laundry list. Pride, just all type of sin that we commit on the daily. All of us, whether you're homosexual or heterosexual.
Yeah.
All right, but we somehow we want to tier sin.
Yeah.
Like, and if I don't deal with it, then I can put that sin up on top.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's the unpardonable sin kind. No, like why is again? Even in church life or just how we treat people, man. Like somebody can be, cheating on their wife or they're a business owner who's constantly jacking up prices and they're horrible to their employees. But man, if they give, if they're wealthy and give, we don't say anything that they tithe to the church. Or she's got a really beautiful voice, so she sings in the choir. Yep. Like we let all that other stuff not only slide, we just don't even talk about it because there's other,
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to homosexuality, transgender, all these kind of other, man, we just like, no. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that whole argument of like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Uh-huh.
Of the people will run to that and be like, see, this is how much God hates like homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you read the rest of the Old Testament, I think you'll find a lot of passages that deal with your sin too.
Mm-hmm.
Of Amos always comes to mind in like a lot of those minor prophets where God is judging his own people.
Yes.
For not caring for the afflicted or the fatherless or the widows and the orphans.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and he like destroys what his people had built up.
Mm-hmm.
And like he passes judgment on them. And it's that I think that's kind of like the nice thing about the Bible is anytime we want to point our fingers at someone else's sin, God's like, yeah, let's go back and talk about yours.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always like that's the challenging thing to me. Of like, anytime I'm feeling like of one of the examples is like when I'm getting ticked off at the McDonald's line and they're taking too long. I'm like, man, you guys are you're not being good stewards of time and you're not having good work ethic like God told you to, doing everything to the Lord. And then it's like God points back and he's like, yeah, well, what about your anger?
Yeah.
What about your patience?
Yeah.
It seems like it's lacking a little bit. And I'm like, frick. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I get that a lot. A lot of Holy Spirit conviction when it comes my way, and in a lot of those circumstances, whether it's traffic, I get that a lot. Got a little road rage when it comes to patience in lines like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the Holy Spirit conviction for me is like, are you God? Because in that moment, like, I want it my way. I want it now. This is how I would do it. I'm just putting myself in the place of God.
Yeah. And that'll be the temptation for some people when they try to live this out of you're having that you're trying to build that friendship or that relationship with that person who sins differently than you, and things are not going to go according to your time plan.
No.
Of there'll be time, like there's been times for me of I'm like, man, I felt like this person would become a Christian by now. That they'd get their act together.
Yeah.
And then I have, like, again, it's that humbling moment where God points back. He's like, buddy, I've been with you for 10 years and you're still struggling. Yeah. Like, you're still struggling with lust and pride.
Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care. It's like anybody. You start pouring into them, pouring your life into theirs and discipleship, and this journey that never ends because it is, it's lifelong. And there's going to be, I don't care what they're dealing with, heterosexual, homosexual, trans, whatever kind of thing, where, yeah, you get frustrated because it doesn't turn out like you think. Like, you're like, there's the ups and downs, and it's just life.
Yeah.
But one of the things, man, I just, as a church too, but just as an individual, man, I want to create space for people to be able to, like I mentioned earlier, that young girl that called me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't take that for granted. Mm. And I want more of space like that in my life, in my home, everywhere. Like, I remember years ago, we did that, I mentioned Not Quite Table Talk, and where I spoke directly about this issue, or kind of walked through the scriptures on it. And the first thing I thought was, what if this was one of my sons? I got 3 boys. What if one of them came up to me and was like, Dad, I'm struggling with this. I'm thinking about this. Kind of like, how would I respond? Because I wanted it not to be, it's so easy, statistics and other people's that are outside of all that kind of stuff. Like, I want it personal.
Yep.
Like, and I want more of that, to where people, they feel like not only in my own life, but in our church, our faith family, that we can have safe zone, if you will, to like create this culture, this space of all of us can bring our struggles, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And again, sin taints everything, and we're all sexual perverts in one form or fashion. So get off your high horse if you're, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I get upset a lot of time with Christian leaders that do a lot of that bashing, because again, it's one of those things like, man, you don't talk about adultery or porn or anything else, like, it's sexual immorality. So, why are you doing that? So I want to create more space where people feel safe to just share their struggles, whether it's, sexual or something different. But there should be a lot of humility, on our side.
I think if you're really actually busy doing like the gospel work of building those relationships, you don't have time to be like sitting on the pulpit like bashing people because of the different sins. You're busy literally like you're on the ground doing the work. Yeah. And so you just genuinely don't have time.
Yeah. Well, and again too, man, it gets back to that, obviously when Paul's writing that to the church about us, when one hurts, talking about the body, when one hurts, the other hurts, and when one rejoices, the other rejoices. But again, I understand that's the church as the body, but just part of loving your neighbor kind of thing. Like, we should enter into the hurt, because again, if whatever it is that they're dealing with beneath the surface, there's some trauma, there's some hurt, there's some things, and there's some identity crisis. Well, guess what? I got identity crisis. I have struggles. You know what I mean? Like, so let's just talk about it, create that space. And the other thing too, man, I just say is like, this is just extremely practical, but man, just stop the name calling on both sides. It's ridiculous. Another pet peeve of mine, social media. And people get on there and just say some nasty stuff. I think sometimes people say, oh, well, you wouldn't say that in person. I think some of them would say it in person. Yeah. And it's just like, seriously? Like, I'm almost like, when some of that happens, I make the joke about, like, if you have, like, I got on a Bridge t-shirt right now. So, like, you represent. Yeah. Like, I'm wearing this right now. So if I show up in a gentleman's club wearing this t-shirt, You know what I mean? I'm not representing well.
Yeah.
You on social media dropping just horrendous, this name calling, insults, man, and you're a follower, a lover of Jesus? Like, come on, be better.
Yeah.
Do better than that.
So much of, I was listening to John Mark Comer preach a sermon today, and he was talking about how, like, the evolution of, like, hospitality in the church.
Yes.
But then he specifically, like, broke down, like, the evolution of, like, churches and Christian history, of how, like, they started at the table and they end up with, like, these mega churches now. But he talked about how early on the gathering was called a love feast, and how, like, crazy that is. Of, like, it was genuinely like this. They'd have a meal together as a body in people's homes, and the people who showed up weren't perfect. They were all new Christians. Yeah. And they're working stuff out together. And I thought that was such a cool picture of, like, sometimes in, like, our current, like, context today of how we do church, of we come to a building and we have a service. That was another, he pointed out how we call it a service now, not a love feast. But we come to the service and we stay in our pews, and we don't go to the other end of the pew. We're not around a table. We're not having conversations with each other. Yeah. And so a lot of times that's why we forget the not only the humility we need to have towards each other, but how to love each other well. It's because we've gone so far away from the table. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we tear down the Bridge Church and we meet in a house. What it does is we need to be intentional as a church of, we don't just come for the worship service. We come to gather genuinely and, like, build those relationships with each other. Yeah. And we dive into each other's worlds and understand the different people's stories. And I think the beautiful part about the church is that once you start getting to know the people in your church, if it's a good church, you'll realize how different people are. You'll have a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter sitting next to each other. Them not even know it. Yeah. But you start getting to know each other, and then you realize, oh, we vote differently. We live on different sides of town. Maybe different races or genders or economics, all that stuff. There's so many differences that you go down. Yeah. But the beautiful part about the church is that we all gather together. Yeah. And it comes saying we all have different sin struggles, and when we come together, the reality is we actually got a lot more in common than we think of. In the midst of all those differences, we all have the same longing of, and that's, like, I think the part where, if maybe you don't struggle with homosexuality or transgender or whatever, you can relate to that person just on the fact that you long to belong to something. Yeah. And, like, I think Matt Chandler said it. I was listening to a sermon by him today too. Okay. He said, to sum up Genesis Revelation, it's God with us. Yeah. From Genesis Revelation, God is trying to be with us. He's doing whatever it takes to be with us. Yeah. And man, I thought that was so beautiful. Of, like, that's what we're all longing for. Yeah. We're, even if we don't know it, we're longing to belong to something greater than us. That's right. And as Christians, we believe that's Yahweh. Yeah. And we can share that with others. That's right. And
because He's with us too, man. Like, so as believers, I mean, again, you think about just, for someone who's not an unbeliever, for us to not only believe in God taking on flesh, living the sinless life, dying the sinner's death, Jesus raising from the dead. I mean, how, that sounds. The God who they cannot see lives inside of us. So all of that. But I love how in 1 John he talks about no one's ever seen God, and then he just quickly transitions to loving others. Yeah. And it's this beautiful, like, okay, well, you don't see Him with your physical eyes, but they physically see you. Not just you on the external, but how you treat people, how you talk to people, how you engage with people, all that kind of stuff. And so are they seeing God through you? All right, believer. And one of the last things I'll say, man, is, like, I was so convicted of this. So Jesus, obviously, the sinless Savior of the world, holy, perfectly, infinitely righteous. And yet he is constantly surrounded, and sinners are drawn to him. That's the crazy part for me. So prostitutes, tax collectors, the outcasts, the overlooked are constantly coming to Jesus. Not just for him to fix something, although that took place, but they're drawn to him. Now just think about it. He is righteous, holy, if you kind of think about that, they're complete opposites.
Yeah.
And yet they're drawn to him. And so I just wonder, are people who are overlooked, who are outcast, who are hurting, who are dealing with stuff that maybe you can't understand because you don't are they drawn to you because they're drawn to Jesus? And so for me, it's man, if you don't, right now, I talk about this racism or anything else, if you don't know someone who would be in the LGBTQ community, it's probably because you don't want to, or there's a lack of trying. But man, be intentional about that. Mm-hmm. And I want them to be drawn. Addiction, whatever it is. I want all people, to feel like this kind of space that they can. I actually do care about them, want to know them. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm going to love you and care for you and walk through whatever struggle it is you're facing, no matter what, even though you try and get rid of me and I want to get rid of you sometimes. That's life. But I'm going to love you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want more people to do that. Just to have that heart for God.
Yeah. Close out. I want to just recommend a couple books.
Yeah, good.
That genuinely helped me.
Okay.
Is God Anti-Gay by Sam Alberry. Mm-hmm. It's super small. It's you can barely call it a booklet.
Yeah.
But he actually goes through and answers a lot of questions. One of the things too that he points out is I'm pretty sure it's him. Of one of the ways that his church community ministered to him is they gave him a house key. They said you stop by anytime you're part of the family. Because that's such an isolating experience. Being in the LGBTQ community, for the church, a way you can step into that is you welcome those people into your family.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, they do get cast out of their families. Sure. And that's just a practical way he puts out. War Loves by David Bennett. He's a gay activist, agnostic activist turned Christian, and he has a memoir, and I genuinely, one of the best memoirs I've read. I felt his pain going through that, and his struggle, and he even talks about sometimes the struggle of Christians not being honest about what they believe on these issues, and how it can be dishonest to the gay community. And so I think one of the things he talked about how it's when churches aren't honest about what they believe on these issues, and then you have a gay couple come in and they want to get married or they want to participate in somehow, and then it turns out you have this secret clause over here that that's so damaging to those people. And he's cut that out. If stand firm on what you believe, people will respect that. And it actually helps with the relationship way more, because they're being honest about where they are, and you're being honest about where you're at. And that's where you can really get the work done. And then Gay Girl, Good God by Jackie Hill Perry.
Okay.
She's a beast.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah.
Also, her music is amazing, so go to listen to that. But those are some of the books that helped me work through these, especially with all my trials and errors.
Good stuff.
This has been another episode of Into the Fray. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast feed. We will see you next week for another conversation.